this is the second video in my mountain road building series. And what you're going to see here and what I'm going to go over are some of the challenges and some of the ways I laid out my road going forward. Now, you saw in the previous video, I'll put a link up here for my entrance video. Once I got the entrance established so that I could actually drive onto the property, the next trick was going to be getting up the road. And as you can see in this frame here, you can see this big ass boulder that was in the way, and luckily I had a solution for that. The other thing I would like you to notice here is this picture was taken in the spring, and over the course of this video we're going to see the seasons change. You'll notice the leaves fill out in the trees and then they'll fall off because it'll be winter, and you might even see some pictures of the road work in the snow because these efforts had happened throughout the year. My first step was to figure out exactly how much width I needed. How much of this big ass rock was I going to actually have to chip out? So I threw a tape measure across it so I could figure out exactly how wide my truck was in relation and how big my trailer was. And yes, there was definitely a whole lot of that hammering going on in order to break this boulder down. I say boulder, it's really a rock outcropping. And what was nice about it is some of the chunks were big, so I could use them to line the sides of the road. Some of them were small, which helped for establishing gravel, which was kind of important because that road was pretty muddy with just the dirt that was on there. As you can see in this picture coming up, my tires in my dually became a single with all the mud that was jammed in between them. And the road itself was still kind of soft. So the next logical thing was for me to go down the road to where I had access to other gravel, start mining it out with the excavator and hauling it up the road. And as you can see, I mined out quite a bit of the gravel that I could from the surrounding area so that I could haul it up the hill. Now at first the process was a little slow, taking in one bucket at a time in the tractor. But it didn't take long to get a few of the loads up there on the hill. Then I was able to start spreading it out and compacting it down just enough so that I could actually drive on it. Then it was time to hook up the trailer and start bringing it up in bulk. And as you can see here, that's exactly what I did. But you know, you get complacent sometimes. And watch this. Oh, yep, that was me hitting the rock outcropping in my brand new, like $14,000 dump trailer.
Okay, so what you're looking at here is the second round of road base that I brought in with the dump trailer. You can see here we've got some of the same color stuff. I got a thin spot here. I think you can see how it changes from, like, right here we got this line and it comes down. So that's where it's a little bit thin. It goes down. That's kind of a finished road, but it's got a thinner coating because that was when I was doing it one scoop at a time. Here, like the tractor up there, the bucket will hold one scoop from the excavator. These piles represent 4 scoops, 4 heaping scoops from the excavator. So it's sped up the process a lot. So I'm going to get to work spreading this out, and I will send you some pictures or make a video of it afterwards, because I can't hold the phone and work at the same time.
Looking down the hill at the piles that I dropped with the trailer and some of the stuff from the initial job site, you can tell it took a lot of work to get that dirt up there, get the gravel up there, to get it spread out. It wasn't just a single trip. There were a lot of trips involved, and there was a lot of work with the tractor to get that gravel spread out so that I could actually drive up there and not be stuck in the mud. And luckily, my truck did a good job of hauling it up there. And you can see I've just dug into the mountain and kept pulling as much gravel as I could. At some point, I would like to develop another part of this property here with an entranceway to another home site, but that's for a later video.
I have to admit, I'm a little surprised that this 70 horsepower tractor has no problem pulling this 14-foot dump trailer, but my big F-350 truck doesn't like to pull it. Or at least not to get it started. Once it's rolling, it's okay. And the torque on this M7060 tractor is amazing. As you look down here, you can see there's 2 piles we brought in, or I brought in this morning, and that'll help develop the road, the base for the road going forward. I'm going to spread this out so that I can go get more. I'll be throwing the big rocks on the sides, like I've done a couple here, more down there, and that'll help line the road for water runoff, slow it down so that it can go over the hill without eroding everything. Okay, so here we are. Where that orange flag is where we're going, to that stump and up around the hill. We've got bare dirt right now. I don't want to follow the ridge line exactly because it's still a little steep, but it's better than this path, which is really steep. Not the way I want to go. That's how we're gonna do it. Okay, time to get to work.
So as I was starting to lay out the road, I was numbering the groups of trees that I wanted to try and save in an order in which I thought I could get them down, take the root ball off. And as you can see here, that number 4 tree, that group is down. So I had to take off the root ball. And this is the size of the logs I was looking at. I just wanted you to see that. This was a really nice black oak tree, and it made some great lumber. Anyway, as I was going around, knocking down trees off the side of the hill, I was trying to stack them up as best I could for processing and taking them down to the sawmill. But of course, you can only go so far, and then you got to come back and rework the actual road. You got to skim it, grade it out, and start making it look like a road again. I mean, as you can see here, there's a lot of dirt. It's uneven. It needs to be graded. There's holes on the sides. It's not real smooth. But, you can do a lot with the push blade on this particular machine. But then after a while, you got to come in with the tractor and the box blade and really grade it down.
Okay, here's the update. After 1 pass, well, 3 passes to get the whole width of the road, it seemed to have pulled off down there. You can see the pile of silt, right? But it stirred up so much that it may have left the rocks behind, because I didn't see a lot of rocks down there in the silt, but it stirred it up so much it's now slippery again. So you don't have the exposed rock to dig into and give you some traction. So there's no driving up this right now. So there could be one of 2 factors here that'll work, and I'm going to try out one of them this time to see if I don't make a bad situation worse or diminish my progress. But I'm going to go through again at a slow speed and give it a second pass and see what comes out, see what I drag down. Because right now it's a slippery mess. So I might be able to get down to really good solid aggregate and pull some of these rocks down to help me later. Or I'll just pull off the base. I don't know, we'll see. I'm also thinking I should change the pitch of my angle to smooth rather than dig up, which means that the back half, see how this blade is curved? It's curved down here, right? Okay, and it's also curved here, which is even more apparent, right? If this is curved down as I'm pulling, it'll skim. If this side is pushed down, then it'll dig. So we're going to try skimming slower. Here's how we do that. We extend the length of this pin here to push this that way. Okay, stopping here for a review. After adjusting the angle of the blade and going a lot slower, so I'm skimming, you can see that it is literally pulling the mud off, leaving solid surface. We'll go get a closer look.
Once I figured out the trick with the box blade, then the road was starting to look like a real road. And I'd never done this before. And yeah, I was pretty happy with it. I thought, okay, the road's in a condition that at least if it's not wet, I can certainly drive my truck up here. And as you'll see later, I was actually able to drive a little Scion XB up there. But anyway, yeah, the road was coming up and coming along just fine. The next problem was the hill grade was starting to change. As you can see up there, I got pretty much a 45-degree angle coming down from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, and I'm running up against the property line. So I have to make a turn. And not only do I have to make a turn, I got to do it going uphill. So the plan was to back up a little bit and come at the trees in an angle that would allow me to take them down without having to reach so far over my head with the excavator.
You can see that that's kind of a continuation of this wall, right? But it's got a curve. So I'm going to keep piling in the surface material, dark stuff, over here, so that I have room to gain the elevation needed to take that tree down. I already took part of it down, but I gotta get elevation so that I can get on par with this thing. And then we're going to tip it over is if I can get the excavator down here. And come at it this way and tip it down that way.
Now, being a one-man crew, I couldn't show you me taking this tree down, but as you can see, I was able to get it to come down. The other thing you should notice here is that there's snow on the ground. And in the beginning of the video, I believe there were leaves on the trees. And so, yeah, it's taking a while to do this. But as I take the trees down, I'm making logs for the sawmill, and I'm coming up against the property line. And there's my target, deep into the woods, going up that hill. You can see the slope, right? The line that goes up at a 45-degree angle, that's where I gotta go. And believe me, that is a lot steeper than it looks in this picture. The orange flags and the orange tape that's tapped around the trees, that was my original path that I laid out using Caltopo to try and get an idea of the gradient and walking this forest several times to try and find the best angle. Ultimately, I had to park the excavator at the turn that was going to be the next big elevation change and lay down a tree to point the direction of where I was going to go. Now, I had a lot of projects this season, but of the projects I did, I think that I was most proud of the fact that I was able to cut this new road, or this new section of road, going in and up the hill. It's not done. It still needs some grading, but it came out really well, considering this was just raw forest. And now I've got a dedicated road that's wide enough for me to get cement trucks up here, and if I have to, they can pass each other, so I'm talking 2 cement trucks, one in each direction, because it's plenty wide. But as I approach the top of this hill, I can see I've got a lot of work ahead of me because I've got to go up a lot before I can make the bend around the upper corner. Now ultimately, I had to go up this hill to go around the hump here to come in and cut it down from the upper side because there was no way I was going to be able to continue to carve away up over my head. You'll see in a moment where the excavator was parked at the bottom of the hill. This is the look over the top. Now looking back on it, that was probably the easiest section of road I've cut on this property. Because the next section coming up in the next video took a whole year by itself, and I don't think I really accomplished anything else other than cutting through the next section. This is the turn right here where I'm making my final approach to go up the mountain. Just making this turn was a challenge. And you'll see in a moment what the angle was. And in our next video, you'll see why this was such a big challenge. Now, if you've made it this far, thank you very much for sticking with the video. And I hope you're going to come back and check out the rest of them to see what's happened and where I went from here. It really was quite interesting. It really did challenge all of my equipment. So if you want to follow along in the story, please like and subscribe. And I hope to see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.